All right. Let's dive deeper into coffee cupping. Not too long ago, I talked about how to taste coffee like a pro by incorporating some new steps into your home coffee routine. So I briefly touched on cupping coffee in that video, but now we're going to go a little more into it so you have all the information you need to start cupping coffee at home. So who should actually try cupping at home? Cupping at home is for people who are more curious about formal coffee tasting processes. And what I like about this process personally for me is it lets me take a small sample of a coffee and create a brewing plan without having to waste like a full pot of coffee or a pour over that might not work out. Working at the store, we get a lot of cool coffee in that we excitedly brew right away, only to realize that after making a whole batch, maybe we brewed it too hot, maybe our grind size was incorrect, or our coffee was too delicate to taste properly. This one was an example of one that we tried out that was just so light and delicate, and when we hit it with the fine grind, it lost some of its magic and wonder. What cupping provides is the ability to create this roadmap to a recipe so you can make those decisions and map them out beforehand without wasting so much coffee and time. So what tools do you actually need to cup coffee? At the professional level, you need a roaster to roast and process your green coffee, kettles, scales, bowls, spoons, the official assessment forms, a grinder, and of course, a spit bucket. And at home, you need a lot less than that. A burr grinder, a small bowl around 180 to 200 milliliters, a way to boil water, a scale, and a spoon. In terms of spoons, soup spoons or bouillon spoons work great in place of professional cupping spoons, like this one. And of course, you'll need a coffee to try. So here's how the process works step by step. Step 1 is fragrance assessment. As soon as it's practical after grinding, you want to smell the dry grounds. Just pick up the bowl and take a big sniff. This is a purely olfactive assessment, meaning you're just evaluating what you can smell before any water is introduced. Step 2 is brewing and aroma assessment. Hot water is poured over the coffee really fast to form a dome or crust, filling your cupping bowl all the way up to the rim. Let that crust sit undisturbed for at least 3 minutes and no more than 5. Once that time has passed, you are going to break the crust by pushing back, stirring it 3 times, and then leaning in close to sniff the vapors. Both the unbroken crust and the break moment are assessed here. Once the cup is broken, you skim the grounds and oils from the surface and discard them. The final step in the process, step 3, is liquoring. This is the tasting portion of cupping. You're going to let your coffee cool down to around 70 degrees Celsius where it's warm to the touch. And then you're going to use your spoon to slurp the coffee into your mouth. Effectively slurping the coffee and spraying it across your entire tasting palette so you can get an effective read on the coffee. Now, professionally, it's custom to spit the coffee out afterwards like you do when you're tasting wine, but when you're at home, you don't necessarily have to do that. This is an important safety measure as professionally, they can taste up to 600 cups a day, and that's too much caffeine. Typically, you'll want to do about 3 rounds of this as the coffee continues to cool, so that way you can assess the different flavor elements. The flavor elements here are the overall taste and the aftertaste, which is what lingers on your palate. We also have the acidity, which is the sourness or brightness of your brew, sweetness, which can be gustative or retronasal, and then we have the mouthfeel, which can be the body, texture, or any tactile sensations like astringency. And finally, overall, your holistic impression of the coffee. The most important thing to keep in mind throughout all of this is consistency. You want to do the same process every single time so you have an objective point of reference. The reason being that any inconsistency in brewing will throw off your calibration. And one more thing, when I'm tasting, I try to go in not looking for anything specific. Our brains are so powerful. If I approach a coffee with expectations in mind, I'm more likely to find just what I expected and nothing more. When I let go of that, I get rid of the initial assumptions of just chocolate or bitterness. And I can find things like unexpected fruit notes or sweetness or a richer mouthfeel that I might not have otherwise caught with that particular coffee. And that's when cupping gets really exciting. What I'm doing here is converting a professional system into a home version of this. So if any of this feels intimidating or too much, feel free to simplify. This structure exists so you can learn how to taste coffee, but if the structure ends up pulling you away from the actual experience, pull back and find what works for you. And I forgot to mention this, but I actually recently got certified as an Evolved Q grader with the Specialty Coffee Association. When I was studying for my certifications, the frequency of cupping really depended on the level that I was working towards. At minimum, I was cupping weekly, and when I was preparing for my Q, I was cupping daily. As a habit now, I try and cup every coffee I try as a first impression. I hope you learned something from this experience, and please let me know in the comments if you tried this at home. And if you're still wanting more, I teach a variety of coffee classes here on subjects like Espresso 101, latte art, and cupping. This is my titanium cupping spoon. Yeah, no, it's sick as hell, but this is a $40 spoon where those are like $8, so, which is still expensive for spoons.
So
Dude, am I just gonna like pull this out of a pocket?
I think I do really like this one.
I'm in a box.